Hi, it's me, Alex, a stay-at-home reader, and this is a little weird because I've already started this video, um, and now I'm traveling back in time. I am answering the questions for the reader's profile tag, which, as I will mention in the near future for you, the recent past for myself, I was tagged to do this by Nicole of Noteworthy Fiction. Thank you, Nicole. The originator of this tag, I will link. It's a new to me channel. This tag was created as an alternative to the BookTube newbie tag, which I really appreciate because I also never did the BookTube newbie tag. I like this one better. Anyway, I also, like the creator of this tag, would not have really had great answers to the newbie tag, but this reader's profile tag I'm enjoying. So here is my vlog style reader's profile tag. Hi, it's me, Alex, a stay-at-home reader. I was tagged by Nicole at Noteworthy Fiction to do the reader profile tag. I'm going to start now, maybe get through a couple questions, but I'm actually on my way out to my son's baseball game. First of the season. They did a scrimmage a few weeks ago, and now tonight starts their season. So really quickly, first question, what makes a good book? So for me, I feel like that changes from genre to genre. Like I have different expectations going into books depending on what genre I'm reading in. But generally, I like having an emotional response to books, whatever that means. Like if it gets me feeling something, if it can elicit some sort of reaction, like if I'm invested emotionally in a book, that's a good book. And of course, how it does that is going to vary. The other thing is, for me to consider a book good, it has to be believable. Not necessarily in the plot, because I am good at sort of suspending reality. I like speculative fiction. If you're telling me something crazy is going on in the world that this book is based in, I believe it. If you're telling me that this character has some ability that's not based in reality, fine. That didn't last long. I have to leave. My husband was trying to order dinner to pick up, and the app's not working, so we have to go now. But yeah, I need a book to be believable, not necessarily the plot, but the characters' motivations and actions within whatever plot. Those need to feel real, true to character. Someone would have that reaction. That needs to be believable. There we go. The sun is like hardcore coming into my window right now, but while Nate and Oliver pick up dinner, I'll do the next question in the car. The second question is, what are you currently reading? And I am currently reading off of the Women's Prize for Fiction long list. I've been working my way through that, which I figured I would do the short list, but in the meantime, I'm curious to see how much of the long list I can get through before the short list is announced. And between Scribd and my library, a lot of them have become available, so I'm working on that. And I'm currently about halfway, just shy of halfway through And Then She Fell by Alicia Elliott. This is kind of a retelling of the Sky Woman myth, which has variations throughout Indigenous storytelling. This author is Mohawk, uh, from what we call Canada, Toronto now. And she is working on writing a modern version of the Sky Woman myth and coming to realize that she has a lot in common and that Indigenous women have a lot in common with that creation story. Um, while also struggling with identity and racism and the microaggressions of living in Toronto, having moved there with her new white husband. Previously, she had lived on reservation, and she's a new mother, like 6 weeks postpartum, having a really hard time connecting with her baby. So there's a lot going on, and I'm actually really, really enjoying the story. Hi, it's the next morning now. I have to be getting up to get ready to be at the town field. Owen has a rec baseball, not game, scrimmage this morning. It'll be the first time this team plays together. And this is our like low stakes, just for fun, like town baseball. Last night, his travel team won both games of their doubleheader. Go Dragons. So question 3 is, what was your most recent DNF and why? I've got a couple like soft DNFs, like not reading or not continuing for now, but want to get back to. But my like most recent, like absolutely no thank you, was actually another one off of the Women's Prize for Fiction long list. The Wren. I'll put a picture here because I forget the author's name. And why? I don't know. I was listening to it. So the audiobook, maybe it was the audiobook, didn't catch my attention enough to elicit a connection to the story and the characters. But I feel like it was more than just the narration not doing its job. I feel like the way it was written, the style, the tone just wasn't doing it for me. So I gave up. I was really pushing, and I found myself just putting it on to have it on and try to get through the audiobook. And that's not the thing to do. I wasn't getting anything out of it, so I just succumbed to the DNF bug. If it gets shortlisted for the Women's Prize, I will probably try again. But I hope it doesn't, because there was nothing there for me. Okay, voiceover time. And baseball all day is no joke. So the fourth question of the tag, while we watch my son's rec team during the scrimmage, the fourth question is, what is an obscure book you wish more people would read? That's my Owen in the Mets jersey. And for this, I mean, I don't know if it is obscure. I mean, it's definitely not mainstream, and based on the number of ratings I saw and reviews I saw for it on both Goodreads and on Storygraph, I would say this counts as obscure. Anyway, Grendel's Mother by Susan Morrison, and this is a feminist retelling of the Beowulf epic poem, from the point of view of Grendel's mother, who in the poem is just treated as a nameless monster, and this gives her a full story with full motivations. It plays with the idea of what we know is based off of who gets to tell the story, and she doesn't get to tell her own story because she is just a woman, and these important men got to push their narrative, and I just absolutely loved it. So that's it. Check it out. Definitely, it was, I think, my favorite book of last year. I'm up to question 5. If this looks familiar, it's because I just went back in time and filmed the introduction to this video. Once I realized I'm going to do this vlog style, I'm going to have to explain that. Question 5 is, what is the longest book you've read? My guess would probably be The Count of Monte Cristo, which I read a long time ago, and I'm definitely due for a reread. I have a feeling, actually, that this chunkster would pass it. This is Ducks Newburyport, and I believe it's like 1,000 pages. But as you can see, I'm like a third of the way through this book. This is one of those that I was referring to when I mentioned like a softie enough. Not that I'm not going to finish it, just that I have put it down so that I can get some other things out of the way. Will eventually pick this up, I hope. We'll see what happens. And I think if I do, then this will be the longest book I've ever read. Question 6 is really hard. It's if you could have a dinner party with 5 fictional characters, who would they be? And this is like immediately my mind is blank. This is like when someone asks you, what's that book you're reading about? Or like, what books have you read recently? And you completely forget like what books are. I'm having that moment right now. Like I can't go back and think of like what characters I would want. But since I just watched The Fellowship of the Ring with my kids, we read that book, and now it's kind of like one kid wants to continue reading the series, the other kid just wants to watch the movies. Reading with them would be very slow, so do I just want to read it on my own? That's where I'm at right now. But since I'm in Lord of the Rings mode, I'm gonna say, give me Strider, give me Samwise, Gimli, Gandalf, obviously. And do I want to stick with the Fellowship or the Lady Galadriel? That's my 5. And the next question is 5 books I would want with me on a desert island. Only 5. So I immediately think I want long books to keep me busy. And I have kind of a cheat, but it's not really a cheat, but you'll see. So, number 1, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. This is a favorite. One I just mentioned, The Count of Monte Cristo. And I think I would want to pick books that are ones that no matter how many times I read them, I still love them. So that's why Jane Eyre. Another one that falls into that category, The Book of Lost Things. I just dropped something. Hold on. This just fell off my shelf. Oops. The Book of Lost Things by John Connolly. This also has the benefit of being a book with like embedded stories in it. A really neat, dark, fantastical coming of age kind of story, and I loved it. I noticed at the new release shelf of the library that there is a new book that I don't think is a direct sequel. I just think it must be a similar style, and I forget what it's called. I'll put a picture here. And because I love this so much, I want to read that, but because I love this so much, I am nervous to read that. And we're going to go up here for book number 4. I'm gonna say this one. Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe, just because it is a safe book. It is lighthearted and cheesy while still being emotional and heavy. It's also a comfort book. It's a book that during the years I was experiencing anxiety at peak level, this was not this one. This was the book I turned to. I would put the audiobook on just as a comfort. It's one that no matter how many times I read it, I loved it and it made me cry. It's probably been about 2 years since I've given it a reread. I hope I haven't outgrown it, but it's coming with me to the island. Came back upstairs for my last desert island book. It looks like the Islanders are in a shootout. Go Rangers. This is my kind of cheat for my 5th book for my desert island library. The Lord of the Rings as we know it. It is 3 books: Fellowship of the Ring, 2 Towers, and Return of the King. But as Tolkien intended, and as this edition stands, 1 book. Okay, let's see if I can finish this off before I have to leave for the baseball tournament. Owen plays 2 more games today. And then tomorrow will be based on today's results. But I'm going to try to get this wrapped up so I can edit it and get it going. Question 8. 1 book you could not put down. I did a quick scan of my shelves, and the one that popped out was a children's Bible by Lydia Millett. Read this in a day, so that's why it gets the unputdownable stamp. Partly because it was a New Year's Eve vlog and I set the goal of reading a book in a day. I was at my in-laws' house, kids were sledding. I had the time, the space, but also the book was so good. An apocalyptic book that was so good. I was able to successfully read it in a day, so I recommend that one. I read 1 more book by her. Something about mermaids. Mermaids in Paradise. Which is one of those that kept me thinking. Like, after finishing, I have more appreciation for it. Like, the further I got from the reading experience, it stuck with me and kind of made me realize I liked it more than I thought I did. And I want to read Dinosaurs, I think is her new one. She has one called Lamb of God that sounded really interesting. I want to go through her whole writing, not discography, backlist. That's the word. Sorry. Question number 9 is 5 books or authors I would probably never read. It by Stephen King. No thanks. I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, whatever the first book is. Did not continue on to A Court of Mist and Fury. Have no interest in reading the rest of that series or the other Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. It's not going to happen. Would not read. So, It by Stephen King. Basically anything else by Sarah J. Maas. J.K. Rowling can go scratch. I don't know. I don't like saying I would never read something. Obviously, Trump's what, The Art of Winning, is that what that one's called? Nope, it's called The Art of the Deal. Either way, no thanks. Pass. Hard pass. No thank you. Anything by that man that he puts out. And a 5th one I would never read. I'll get back to you.
This one is a big no thanks. The Troop by Nick Cutter. Apparently, it's like body horror. There's a tapeworm, something. Pass.
And the last question, if I wrote a book, what would it be about? I don't know. I tried writing a children's book once. I thought I did pretty well. And the kids that I shared it with liked it. But it didn't go anywhere. I submitted it to a few children's publishers and nothing happened, obviously. Um, so I think I would write a children's picture book um, about imaginative kids, like kind of. My idea was to have like a kid on a dragon hunt and like their play being told in this fantastical way while the illustrations are just a typical kind of backyard scene. And so it's that like how children use their imagination to transform their everyday environment, something along those lines that I love. um, so if I were to try again, I think it would stay along those lines of writing a picture book. The other way, if not children's picture books, it would probably have to be memoir. I'm not organized enough to write fiction, I think, to keep like a storyline going. So maybe memoir, a guide that reflects my experiences homeschooling my kids, because I did it. I have this imposter syndrome where like I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing, but my kids are 14 and 12 and a half and have only ever been homeschooled. And every day I question it, but at the end of the day, I'm happy with our choices, and I think my kids are happy with their choices. And could they do better in some areas? Yeah. Is there room to grow? Yeah. Do I believe that we need to race to the finish? No, absolutely not. And I think that's what I would want to write about. Just encouraging people to be relaxed and know what they want to focus on, what's important to them, and just trust the process with maybe some tips and tricks I learned along the way. So that is the end of the reader profile tag. Thank you, Nicole, for tagging me. I will link her video. I will link the originator of the tag, and I will talk to you later.